to participate in this important community conversation. Tonight is especially meaningful because we are proud to continue the legacy of the late Patricia Harper Garrett, a tireless advocate for Richmond Heights who believes that an informed community is an empowered community. She understood the importance of bringing residents and political candidates together to foster open dialogue, encourage community engagement, and ensure every voice had an opportunity to be heard. Along with her daughters, Jessica Markins Garrett, Garrett Markins, and April Garrett, and the culture, we are honored to carry that mission forward. We believe our role extends far beyond telling stories. We're committed to creating spaces where community can connect, ask questions, engage with leaders, and make informed decisions. Because when our community is informed and involved, we all move forward together. Before we begin, I'd like to extend a sincere appreciation to Second Baptist Church for graciously opening its doors and hosting tonight's event. We are especially grateful to the Pastor Jackson, the lead of this beautiful church, his leadership, commitment, and community, and for this community for welcoming us to this wonderful space. It is now my pleasure to introduce Pastor Jackson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We certainly welcome you to the southern part of the kingdom.
Amen.
This is the part that a lot of times people don't venture past Flagler Street to come down, but some of the best people in the world are on this end of the world.
Amen.
And we're happy to have you here. Second Baptist was founded by a man by the name of Reverend J. A. Ferguson. Him himself being a great community advocate, always wanted me to keep my finger on the pulse of the political community. We always wanted our members to be informed voters. We wanted them to not do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of thing in the box, but we wanted them to actually see the people, hear the people, and make intelligent and informed decisions. More are coming, but for those that are here tonight, we welcome you here. I anxiously anticipate this event. I was excited to be asked to host it. The Garrett girls are part of our ministry as well, and we're happy to have you here. It's not in the program, but I'd like to offer a word of prayer to begin these discussions. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to come and to share. The word declared that the government shall be upon your shoulders. We know, God, that you are pro-government. I pray, God, for good government. I thank you for those that you have assigned and dedicated to lead these great people. Now, God, help us to make wise and intelligent decisions as we listen to those that will potentially lead us. Bless now this assembly together. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. You all are welcome tonight. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Now it is my pleasure to introduce someone who has dedicated his career to public service and civic engagement. We are honored to have former Florida Senator Dwight Bullard serving as our moderator for tonight's forum. Please join me in giving Richmond Heights welcome to our moderator for this evening, former State Senator.
So good evening, folks.
Good evening.
All right. It's always good to be in this space. Thank you again, Pastor Jackson, for opening the doors and welcoming us for this event. I'm always, it's always a melancholy kind of feeling because those who know how this event started and had a chance to know Patricia Harper Garrett understood that she was the master of volunteering, right? She was going to, nudge you as gently as she could until you did exactly what she told you to do. And so it's, even in her passing, which is so interesting about this moment is that she's volunteering us to still do it, right? Like, we do this in her honor, not only because it's the right thing to do and the responsible thing to do, but I just feel like I would be pinched if I went through an election season and did not make sure that our community, the Richmond Heights community, the Greater South Bay community, was being honored with the presence of these candidates so that we can both inform ourselves and inform the larger community, right? For those who do not know, I've shared it with candidates via email. Richmond Heights, if you don't know, let me give you a quick 30-second snapshot. Founded in 1949 as the first middle-class, designed middle-class Black community in the entire state of Florida. World War II veterans, Tuskegee Airmen, you name it, became the first homeowners, some of the first homeowners in South Florida because of the vision of Captain Frank C. Martin in finding this locale, building those homes. And Richmond Heights, because of that, has always been deeply civically involved. Although we've fallen off a little bit, the precincts of 801, 802, and 803, which are the ones in Richmond Heights, have historically been some of the highest turnout precincts in the state. Right? In the state. And so even though the community is going through changes, we honor the legacy of Pat Garrett, we honor the legacy of my late mother, Larcenia Bullitt, and so many other trailblazers who made Richmond Heights important, not only to the people of Greater South Bay, but for the people of the state of Florida. So happy to be here, so happy that you all are here and turning out. And we want to go ahead and get this ball rolling, all right? Before we kind of kick off the formal program, we always got to establish protocol, as they say, and shout out the elected officials in the room. So of course, we have our state representative for District 117, State Representative Kevin Chambers, joining us here. And of course, I could go down a laundry list of different former and current, some who want to be on this panel. So I'm going to save those little surprises for later so that you can meet them in their organic space. But before we kind of get started, folks may be wondering, well, what about this race or what about that race? This convening today is explicitly for folks that you will likely see on the August 18th primary ballot. So yes, there are other races that are going into November, but because we want to make sure folks are properly politically educated, right? We wanted to make sure to showcase those that are going to be on the ballot August 18th. And so the panels that will be coming up, and I'll talk about that format in a second, will be those folks. But we always want to shout out those who decided to join us that are still going to be on the ballot in November, and I know a couple folks have popped in, so I want to acknowledge Phil Ayer, who is running for Congress in the 28th Congressional District. Again, you will not see his name in August. He has moved all the way on to November, and that is why, of course, we're not showcasing him tonight. And then, of course, I want to acknowledge, if he's here, he might wave later, but Richard Lamondin, who is running for State Senate District 38. He may talk in a little later. His materials are available in the front as well. Again, he's moved on to the November ballot. And so when we do this again, so I just want to forewarn folks, we're running it back in the fall, that we'll be doing this again in the lead up to the November election. So as I mentioned, kind of ground rules, just want to establish kind of what we're going to be doing over the course of the next hour plus. We're going to have 4 different political panels. We're going to have a federal one showcasing Congressional District 27 and the candidates there. We're also going to have a gubernatorial panel, and we're excited to welcome 6 of the 20 plus gubernatorial candidates that are out there, but only 14 of those 20 plus will be on the August ballot. So we got almost half, and I like that. So that will be a panel that we're showcasing. We also have the two Democratic nominees, two Democratic candidates for Chief Financial Officer, which is another statewide office. So again, keep in mind, Florida is 67 counties. And so when I say things like CFO and governor, out of all the 67 counties, and Miami-Dade being the largest population-wise, these folks have chosen to be here. And so that deserves not only your attention, but I want to let you know that's a level of respect for the output that this community's had. So please give yourselves a round of applause for welcoming those folks here. And then last but not least, we got to think local as well as global, but we have county commission District 8 candidates that will be in the building. Now, I know folks are like, am I in 8 or 9? Well, we know that the church itself is in District 9, we understand that. But many of you who may live on the east side of US 1, may live in communities like Palmetto Bay, all the way down into the Homestead area, where it kind of crisscrosses community rules almost entirely, is actually in Miami-Dade Commission District 8. And so we have two of those candidates that will be joining us as well for this conversation. All right, so everyone was given an index card when they walked in. Now that I've laid out where the panels are going to be, if you have a question for, again, one of those panels, as opposed to the individual candidates, please make sure to ask that question. If that question is a local question, please put local. If the question is a state question, please put state. If the question is a federal question, please put federal. But I want to make sure that, and not to call anybody out, but again, if you want to know why the buses aren't running on time in Miami-Dade County, that's not going to be a question for the congressional candidates, right? And if you want to know, why your income taxes are so high, that wouldn't be a question for the people running the county commission. So I just want to make sure, right, good questions, but want to make sure you're directing them at the right person. Because we know that we have limited on time, if you want to make sure there's a follow-up, feel free to put your contact information on that question, and we'll make sure it gets to the appropriate folks as we go. So again, if you have a question, we'll start with the federal first. Go ahead and lift that card up. Someone will grab that, bring it to me, and we will make sure that question gets asked time permitting. All right, last thing for the candidates that are here, the format, I think, is relatively simple. You'll get a 1-minute opening, 2 minutes to answer the moderated questions. Same applies for the audience questions. We may adjust the time to answer those depending on the time, because we do have slotted allotments of time for each panel. We don't want to run over because that creates a challenge. And then a 1-minute closing at the end of that segment. And that will be how we roll. Is everyone okay with that format? Yes? Yes? As I mentioned at the beginning, we are currently live streaming the Culture XYZ. The Culture XYZ on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you've already seen this beautiful young woman introducing both Pastor Jackson and myself. I get the honor of having known Brandy for a number of years, and we share a godchild together, so that means something.
Yeah.
In certain communities, you would always say, like a god couple, even though she's happily married. So she's also serving as our timekeeper. For those of you who remember how traffic lights work, and I know I'm in Miami, so some of y'all may not fully remember how they used to work. She's going to show you yellow at 30 seconds, and she's going to show you red when it's time to stop. Yellow at 30 seconds. I know, for Miami folks, you think that means speed up and talk longer. But this is acknowledgement of 30 seconds left. The red, I know, again, Miami folks, means you need to stop. Think about it as if there was a traffic light camera still there. and you don't want to run through that. All right. So, Randy, can you stand up so folks can see you? So you're lifting it, but you already see it. Yellow, 30 seconds. Red, stop. And unfortunately, I have to be the bad guy and tell you if you go past the red too long, I got to be the one to say, shut it down. We got to move the program along. So again, you know, in honor of Sandman Sims, I might have to do a little something. But we're going to have to keep it moving. All right, so we're going to start again. First with the federal panel, and I want to welcome to the front candidate for the congressional 27th district, Robin Figueroa. Please give Robin a round of applause. And again, if you have federal questions, raise your hand and someone from the team will grab that and bring it up to me, even though I have a couple of moderated questions to kick us off. So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You have 1 minute to let us know who you are.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I am Robin Figueroa, and I am running to be your U.S. Congressman because I'm fed up with a system that is rigged for the corrupt, for the powerful, for billionaires and for corporations, while the rest of us are left to fend for ourselves. I am fed up with a congresswoman more interested in giving tax breaks and tax buyouts to those corporations and billionaires, and doing so on the backs of middle-class families and our health care. I'm fed up because we are leaving for this next generation an America worse off than what we inherited. We were sold the promise of giving to our kids and our grandkids a better America where you can advance for yourself, where you can do better than your parents and your grandparents. That is the American dream that brought my parents here. My father from the Dominican Republic, my mom from Ecuador. They came from impoverished towns with just the clothes on their backs, not knowing the language. And the very first thing they did when they got here was enlist in the US Army. And I love that. That's my origin story, that they wanted so much to become a part of this country. They were willing at first landing to die for this country. And because of their example, I have chosen public service at every point in my career. And it wasn't always easy. I grew up in Hialeah, Florida, in a working class family. After they served, my father was a school teacher in the public school system, and my mother was a mail carrier. Are we at red? No, I didn't see yellow.
Yeah.
I'll fold it in later, but let's get to the questions.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. You gotta keep an eye.
I gotta watch you, gotta watch you.
Run those lights. All right. So, Congress has historically found ways to address affordability. Medicaid, Medicare, Fair Housing Act, Obamacare. What is one policy you could support or sponsor to address the affordability crisis here in the United States?
I think most important is the healthcare market. We're seeing since January 1st, and our subsidies have expired, that 93,000 people in this community have lost their healthcare. They're white knuckling it. They're going to work praying that they don't get into a catastrophic accident. They're praying that they don't get diagnosed with a terminal illness. And that shouldn't be happening in the richest country in the world. For the rest of us who got to keep our healthcare, we saw our premiums double and triple. And that's, again, an abomination. And that's because of our congresswoman who's not voting to help people, middle-class, working-class people in this community. And so one thing that I think we can do is introduce a public option into the healthcare market. We need to extend those subsidies, absolutely. That is a good solution for now, but a temporary solution that will bring down prices is to allow people to buy into a public option. Young people might want to do that. Other folks who can't afford a Cadillac plan might want to do that. And the private insurance companies will have to compete. And that is a market solution, by the way. That is more choices for consumers. If they, people who can afford it want to buy a Cadillac plan, make the private insurance companies actually produce a product that's worth that price. And if not, they're going to flee. They're going to go and purchase public care options. So healthcare is the biggest thing that's driving our wallets. While the president has these tariffs that are just new taxes on our citizens, he gets up there excited. Look at all the money I've collected, but it's pickpocketing us. This is money from our own pockets in this moment of economic insecurity. Right? And then these tax breaks and buyouts to billionaires and corporations, we need to reinvest those in the middle class so that they are the ones who get this tax relief at this moment of real struggle. But healthcare is that major component that we can have an affirmative case for the American people. It's not just the horrible things we're going to stop Donald Trump from doing. And I have experience in Congress. I've worked in Congress for the past 20 years, on and off for 7 years, starting off as a junior staffer, making my way up all the way to chief of staff. So I like to say I know where all the bathrooms are. I'm ready to be congressman on day one, and that's important in this day and age. So that's what I would do.
Thank you so much. The next question is, Congress is given authority to declare war. Yet we are engaged in conflict with Iran. We have invaded the country of Venezuela, and we are currently threatening to invade the country of Cuba, all without express authorization of Congress. How would you, if elected, check the current administration on their war powers?
We need to have a vote on the war. The Republican Party has completely ceded all its power, all congressional authority to the president. The Congress is the Article 1 body in the Constitution. It is the first thing that the founders mentioned. The president isn't mentioned until Article 2. We have the power of the purse, we have the power of tariffs, we have the power to declare war. And on all three fronts, we've completely ceded ground to the president. So we need to have a vote on the Iran war, force a vote. We need to get out of that war, stop that war that is costing us trillions of dollars, that is putting American service members' lives at risk, that is increasing the price of our gasoline, that he did without congressional approval, and that has absolutely zero justification. And I am on Spanish language media, by the way, all the time. I speak Spanish, as I mentioned, son of Latino immigrants, and I'm telling them about how we can't trust this president to go into these countries because he's not looking for democracy. We see with Venezuela, right? That what he wanted was barrels of oil. We have still the #2 still in charge. She didn't win her election. She's a socialist, she's a Chavista, she's anti-democratic, and the president, he doesn't care. Our own congresswoman, she says, well, wait, we'll give it some time for democracy. She's a pro-democracy either. I don't want what happened in Venezuela to happen in Cuba, right? The Iran war, again, they asked him, do you want a democratic ayatollah, a new one? He goes, I don't care. I don't care which ayatollah, because for him, it never was about democracy. It never is. It's about himself, enriching himself and his family, and barrels of oil. So, get back foreign policy as congressional members, get back our authority and our prerogative. And as I said, I've been there. I'm chief of staff, junior staffer all the way to chief of staff. I know how the sausage gets made. Unfortunately, I know how Congress works, and I know how it doesn't work. And once you have someone in there who actually has that public service experience, you know what type of congressman they will be. I'm running in the primary against a person with zero public service experience, right? And in this day and age, we can't do that. We can't have a question mark. We can't know what someone will do if we don't have past experience to judge him by. And on top of my work in Congress, I was a homicide prosecutor for 7 years in this community. I was a lawyer on the January 6th committee helping defend our democracy. So for me, public service is the story of my life, and I want to continue doing that for you.
Thank you so much. All right, we have folks, if you do have questions for congressional folks, we have folks walking around. These are not here to solicit tithes or donations.
I'll take them though, if you have.
To get your, I know people might be confused, so I just want to get your questions from you so I can have them here. The last 3 questions I have are rapid fire, quick fire questions. They could easily be yes or no, but if you'd like to expound on that yes or no, you're happy to do it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so do you support the extension of TPS for Haitians and other affected marginalized groups?
Absolutely. And I was able to march with my colleagues and friends in favor of TPS for Haitians. And one thing our Congresswoman does, number one, she never stands up to Trump because she's in complete lockstep with him. And number two, you almost never hear her talk about Haitians. For me, it isn't about their vote share of the population. I don't care how many Haitian Americans live in this district or don't. It's about doing what's right. Particularly somebody with Dominican heritage and the way that the Dominican people back on the island have treated Haitians. I am sold in the cause of making sure that our immigrant brothers and sisters have the right to continue to make their home here, not be sent back to unsafe conditions, many people facing certain death, having no homes to return to. That isn't the American way. So absolutely in favor of extending TPS, in favor of processing Cuban cases under the Cuban Adjustment Act again. That is very important. Cubans are being deported at rates higher than any other president in the United States. I go on Spanish language media and I tell them that. And they're frustrated, they're fed up, they're upset, and that's why we're going to win this election.
Thank you. All right, next quick question. The current federal minimum wage is $7.25. We know that the Florida minimum wage is now $15. Do you support the increase of the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to another amount? And if you know that amount, we'll love you to share that.
Yes, it needs to go up. It has been frozen at the same level for over a decade. I would like to see it at $20.
All right, last quick fire question, and we do have one audience question. If, the likelihood of you being elected means that Congress would likely have been flipped. Many pundits, and including the President of the United States, has mentioned that if Congress flips, he expects impeachment proceedings to happen. Do you support the impeachment of President Donald Trump?
Let me say that I have fought President Trump before. I investigated the man for 15 months as part of the January 6th committee. I was able to grill his administration officials, including the Secretary of the Army, on why there was a delay with the National Guard on that day. I co-led one of the hearings describing how he tried to corrupt our Department of Justice. I wrote Chapter 7 of the final report called 187 Minutes of Dereliction of Duty, depicting how for 3 hours he sat drinking his Diet Cokes, watching Fox News, while his advisors and his family members begged and pleaded for him to tell the writers to go home, and he did absolutely nothing. So I'm the only candidate who stood up to Trump. My opponent, the primary opponent that I have, Elliot Rodriguez, he has not mentioned Trump on his website, not once. He did not mention Trump in his launch video. We need people who are unafraid to call him out by name, and I will continue to do that as a member of Congress. My focus is going to be on middle-class and working-class people, but if we bring up articles of impeachment, I will do my duty, and absolutely as a member of the House, we bring the charges, the Senate convicts if there's enough evidence there to convict, and there certainly is enough. This president has led us in an awful direction. He's, I think, in my opinion, obviously a criminal, and we should absolutely stand up to him.
All right. We have one audience question, and then after that, you can get into your closing. All right. You may very well find yourself in the minority party if elected in November. In such a polarized environment, how do you plan to work with the other party to get legislation passed?
And this is what is so important about having previous experience. People come up to me and they say, there's a lot, the Democrats are promising. Are you going to be able to pass all these things? And the truth is, not with a Republican president who can veto what we can do, right? So we're going to have the opportunity to pass great bills to show the American people what it will be like if they elect a Democrat in 2028 who will sign our legislation. But it's going to be hard. We're hopefully going to have the House, we're going to have the Senate to really get a lot passed. But what we can do, what I know we can do, because I've done it for the past 20 years, we have the power of oversight. We have the subpoena power. We have the ability to haul in members of that administration before us. We can put on the committee hearings. And wouldn't it be nice to have a former prosecutor, someone who's cross-examined liars for a living for 7 years, to be able to cross-examine Donald Trump's administration officials and hold them to account? So that is one thing that we're going to be able to do on behalf of the people of this district. I think I got, what was the original question?
How would you work with the other party?
Okay, good. But important also is working with the other side of the aisle. As a prosecutor, I worked in a very conservative office. I grew up in Hialeah, also one of the most Republican cities in the country, according to Wikipedia. And so when I had to go before a jury, I was there to convince Republicans, Democrats, Independents, it didn't matter what their party affiliation was. My job was to get them to see the facts the way that I saw them. And so I had that prior experience of working with the other side, of making sure that we're focusing on actual solutions. When you go to Washington, D.C., because you're interested in public service, and I had every opportunity after graduating from Harvard College and Harvard Law School, I was in the Harvard Law Review, I had every opportunity to go and make money for myself. And much to my parents' chagrin, I never did. I always cared to come back to this community and serve it. Making $24,000 out of college, going to serve in Congress, making $40,000 after law school to go become a prosecutor in this community. And so, I'm not there to enrich myself like other members of Congress, like our Congresswoman. I'm there to actually serve the public, work with Republicans, work with whomever to make sure that we're focusing on the middle class and working class families.
Appreciate that. Please take your minute to tell us why you're the better candidate, sir.
Okay, so I think, if you're seeking a promotion for a job in public service, you probably should have a day of work in that line of work. And people can come here and tell you what they believe. Number one, if they're not here now and they're looking for your vote, they're definitely not going to come after they get elected. So pay attention to who's showing up, who's here to actually listen to the community. What you got to look at their past behavior, their past history to really know, because talk is cheap. And as I said, for me, I have a 20-year record of serving the public and serving this community. And in this moment of great insecurity, we need competency again. We need a younger generation of leaders. This is my first time running at 40 years old because I care so much about this community and making sure that people who look like me, who sound like me, who have last names like me, who have parents who came to this country seeking the American dream, that they might have that opportunity to advance. They might have an opportunity to own a home. My parents, on a school teacher salary, on a mail carrier's salary, they were able to own a home in Hialeah. That is unheard of today. And my generation, myself included, we can't. We don't own homes. That is not proper in the richest country in the world. And so I'm asking for your vote on August 18th. Join the campaign, PigueroForMiami.com. And it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Robert Figueroa, folks. I gave this person a shout out earlier, but I saw him pop in. So I want to give a moment for Richard Lamondin to wave to everybody that was in the building. Lamondin.
I'm running through your state senate.
Robin Figueroa.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Mine?
Hold on, let me. Want to level
You
set.
handle it.
Robin, stand up. Robin running for Congress, Congressional District 27. You don't want to create no confusion. All right. Richard Lamondin is running for State Senate District 38. And I recognized him earlier. He's going to be on the November ballot, not the August ballot, so don't look for his name there. But wanted to make sure you all saw him in person since I shouted him out earlier. So Richard.
Yeah, go say hi, Pastor, real quick.
There you have it. All right. We want folks to take a quick 5-minute bio break if you need it. And then we're going to go move into our CFO panel. So if you need to use the restroom, they are right outside. Women to the right, men to the left, on my left. So we'll reconvene in 5 minutes with the CFO candidates. All right, folks, let's go ahead and grab a seat, grab a seat, grab a seat. Get right back into it. All right, just a little background. This is what we call a midterm election. Historically, there is lower turnout, unfortunately, in midterm elections than there are in presidential elections. But midterm elections, for us, are way more consequential. We're electing our governor, we're electing, as you saw, members of Congress. But not only are we electing the governor, a new governor for the state of Florida, but we are electing all of our other statewide offices as well. There will be an election in all of those offices. For those who do not know, or remember back in the heyday, when we had about 6, 7, 11 statewide offices. We had an insurance commissioner, elected commissioner of education. Those days ended in the early 2000s. And now we are consolidated into 4 different offices. Of course, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, commissioner of agriculture, and the state's chief financial officer, or CFO. So we're lucky enough to have 2 candidates who are running for governor against the incumbent, appointed, by the way, incumbent, who you never had to vote on, CFO of the state of Florida. So we want to welcome to the front Earl Ford, Democratic candidate for CFO, and former state senator Annette Tadeo, who is also the Democratic candidate for the chief financial officer. Waiting on. All right. So we're going to go ahead. I know she was taking a phone call in the back, but that gives you, Earl, an opportunity to give your 1-minute spiel opening, sir.
All right, so. Hello?
Turn it on.
Hello? Perfect. All right, thank you guys for having me. My name is Earl Ford, and I'm running for Chief Financial Officer. The reason I'm here before you is I've spent the last 15 years of my life dedicated to public service. And what that first looked like was when I enlisted in the United States Army in the infantry in an airborne unit. I thought jumping out of the planes was cool, but it turns out it was a little more painful than I thought it would be. That being said, the Army gave me a unique opportunity to be the first person in my family to go to law school. I took that opportunity, I volunteered, doubled down on my community, worked at the ACLU, Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of Regional Counsel, and even did voter protection. That led me into my career as, well, I first went into working as a prosecutor in Orlando. That was the first time in my life I held people accountable. But ultimately, I landed working in federal service with everyone's favorite agency, the IRS. My bread and butter at the IRS, I worked on 1 of 2 specific programs that focus exclusively on the wealthiest people in the world. I routinely handled cases in excess of $500 million. I was a federal watchdog. The IRS gave me a unique skill set that not only sharpened my legal skills, but also my financial skills. And that's what I want to bring to Tallahassee. What that looks like, first and foremost, is enforcement. Enforcement of the law, accountability, being a consumer advocate, and maximizing transparency. So that's what I want to deliver for you in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give this pregnant pause for a series of days. Back up. Don't want to get into the Q&A without being here, but take your time.
Somebody works for you.
Well, no, I think Pastor Jackson would go. She's on the way.
He's like, I'm just host. I'm just the
I got
host.
you. I want to see her.
Wait, I see movement behind
See
you.
movement?
I see
We're
movement.
going.
He's like, right.
It's the fun part.
You know what they say, Pastor Jackson? They say if men plan, then God laughs. You know, that's you set the schedule. You know, it's like, oh, it's sort of a joke.
What the platform that people can view this on again?
Oh, okay. No, thank you. Thank you for that softball. In case you're wondering, this is streaming on YouTube and Facebook on the Culture XYZ. Again, the Culture XYZ. Also, just as a clarifying point, because we want everybody to walk out of here properly educated. Robin Pagero, please stand and wave again. Robin was first. He was candidate for Congressional District 27. Right?
Question for him.
Yes.
What's your punch number?
50.
50?
Yeah, go for 50.
All right.
All right. All right. And if we want to just, Phil, since you shouted out the other folks, let me shout you out again. Phil Ayer again is running for Congressional District 28. 28. So,
No punch number on
he's on the November ballot. He's on the November ballot. And again, Richard, we're going to let you do the wave one more again. Richard is on the November ballot as well. State Senate, District 38. So,
Thank you, Senator.
everyone got that distinction? Yes. Cool. Gave you just enough time. Senator, we understand, you know, life be life. You're running statewide. But we didn't want to move past without giving you your first minute to open. Introduce yourself to the folks.
Thank you so much. Delighted to be home, not just home in Miami, but home in what I call my church. Love you guys and love this community. Was honored to represent this community, a community that Senator Bullard also represented. And actually, I owe that historic election and then re-election to this community, and I will never forget that. And I am running for CFO to be the watchdog for the people's money. That's what we need right now. We need someone that is going to look out for our resources and that is going to fight the insurance companies, not be a lapdog for the insurance companies or for the governor. That's what we have right now, and that is going to be very important to me. Is what I did for 5 years in Tallahassee, is constantly fight for the people to be able to have a way to fight the insurance companies and lower the bills.
All right, thank you. We're glad you alluded to this, Senator. So the CFO also serves as our state's insurance commissioner. All right? In case folks didn't know that. We used to have an elected one, now we have the CFO's office handles that purview as well. So the CFO serves as the state's insurance commissioner. How would you address the rising cost of windstorm/home insurance and the rising cost of auto insurance here in the state of Florida? And we'll start with you, Mr. Ford.
So I think at this court, it's a multi-pronged approach. First and foremost, this starts with enforcement, as I mentioned. We know a few years ago, SB 7052 was bipartisan legislation that was passed that pretty much enhanced the CFO's power to really crack down on insurance companies. In the last few years, this has not been utilized. Right now, we've seen it gives the CFO the capacity to crack down on fines, hit them with fines, and also ensure adjusters are not making decisions independently. We know a lot of times adjusters are not even going out there. So first and foremost, it starts with actually regulation. The other things that we're looking at is insurance companies. What we're seeing is regulatory fee shifting, where they're moving money outside the states in order to justify their rate hikes. So other states regulate this heavily. In Florida, there's almost no oversight given. So what they do is they on their books, it looks like they're struggling. Meanwhile, all their shareholders are taking profit, and they're using that to increase your prices. The other thing is also transparency. making sure we're putting out exactly why they're increasing the rate hikes, what's causing that, being a consumer advocate, so also making sure we're quite frankly, holding the hand of the consumer. Right now, we have complete power and balance in the sense that the state and the insurance companies are on one side, and there's no one for the consumer. We defamed this consumer; they don't have any method in order to sue. They got rid of one-way attorney's fees. So it starts with being a consumer advocate. It starts with the regulatory environment, ensuring you crack down on enforcement, and also when you level the playing field, it's going to encourage other companies to come in because they know if they're going to play by the rules, and everyone knows what the rules are. We're going to encourage a competitive market.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will tell you that all those bills that have been passed, that I'm sure many of you got commercials during campaign season, oh, we passed this bill and it's gonna lower your insurance bill. Well, guess what? We are now not only paying the most in the entire country for both home and car insurance. For homes, the average is $8,000. So when they're coming after your real estate taxes, let me tell you, it's because they can't run on the real expense, which is your insurance. And what they did with these bills is they claimed it was gonna lower, but all they did was find ways to actually give more power to the insurance companies. They don't have to pay your bill for your damage, so you lose your roof, and you have to take out of your own pocket to fight your insurance company should they deny your roof after you've paid that insurance for 30 years. That is unacceptable, and I plan on putting out a report card on all the insurance companies. You're gonna know which insurance companies are actually delaying the payment, delaying, not answering the phone, not allowing you to have adjusters, because that's the other thing they've done, is they actually get to hire their own adjusters. So of course, a real adjuster doesn't show up that doesn't represent insurance, they just gotta look out for their license. No, they have their own adjusters. They have all of the tools in the toolbox for them, and they left nothing for us. And so my plan is to actually go in there and be completely transparent about who these companies are, who is not doing the work, because that will help us, besides the rulemaking, besides the changing of some of these laws, because they went way too far with that.
Thank you. All right. So another responsibility, of course, of the office of the CFO is to manage the state's finances. The question, and we'll start with you, Senator Dale, is do you support or oppose Amendment 3, which is the property tax amendment that will be on the November ballot? If so, explain that. And how do you foresee your job being impacted if it passes? So again, do you support or oppose Amendment 3, for those who have been paying attention? That is the property tax amendment on November's ballot. And how do you foresee your job being impacted if it passes?
I will be voting no on Amendment 3. This is exactly what I just said. They don't have anything to run on, so they have to run on something. And it sounds amazing, doesn't it? I mean, you don't have to pay taxes. How great does that sound? But guess what? I'm gonna tell you, talk about defunding the police, defunding fire, because that's what that is. How do you think we get public safety? We get it with our taxes. And we need to make sure, in addition to that, the parks, what are you gonna pay to go to the park or to play a football game or a little league at the park? That's what you're gonna have to do. And I will tell you, I'm gonna tell while I campaign everyone, you may end up paying more. And then the insurance continues to be in the insurer's hands, and now nobody helping you. Will it affect our job? Absolutely. Look, one of the reasons they want to do this is because they want us all to have to go to Tallahassee and make decisions in Tallahassee, because they know none of us can afford to go up there to show up at a meeting. But you saw many people showed up at a county commission meeting yesterday when they were going to move the line into the Everglades. I mean, people, they want to be as far away from the people. They want to be the ones making the decisions. So this is also about control of money, control of the ratepayers and the taxpayers. And I am against that 100%. We'll fight it every bit of the way. People need to be educated. And apparently, I'm not alone. Now, apparently, Rick Scott is joining, and other Republicans are starting to realize, wait, maybe this is not such a good idea. I do think we need tax reform. This ain't it.
As we are in the church, we encourage reaction. What's on your heart and flat? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I also oppose Amendment 3. What this really is the Republicans throwing spaghetti at the wall just to distract you from the home insurance crisis. Right now, property taxes are capped at 3%. Home insurance is not capped at all. We know some of the largest donors to the Republican base have been the insurance companies. As they mentioned, it unifies power in Tallahassee, and then also eliminates critical services, so that also will be a driver of insurance across local government, not local communities, rural communities, and some rural communities, those fire departments, those police departments may cease to exist. So ultimately, my role as CFO again is auditing the purse and working with the legislature to make sure that money gets there efficiently and effectively. And again, this is a distraction from the gross mismanagement of funds, whether we talk about alligator Alcatraz, the migrant flight scandal, the voucher scandal, the Hope scandal. These are all issues in which the CFO had authority to intervene, and they didn't choose to do so. So that being said, again, I hope my background is in auditing, and that's where I would hope to utilize my skill set to really crack down on that, to ensure the money's going where it needs to go. And also when legislature dictates money go to certain companies or agencies to ensure it's not going to donors only, it's making sure every community has equal access to the state contracts, and so everyone can thrive.
Thank you so much. The last question I have, if folks have questions for the CFO candidates, remember you do have the index cards. If you have one, you need someone to grab that, or pass it around. Great. Right there.
Sorry, I didn't get an index card.
No worries. Let them use you. Another role of the CFO is to be a part of the clemency board. In 2018, Florida residents passed Amendment 4, which would have been the greatest expansion of voting rights since the Voting Rights Act of 1965, ultimately allowing 1.4 million individuals here in Florida access to the ballot. We know that the DeSantis administration went back and immediately put fines and fees in place and kind of undermined that. As CFO, now a member of the clemency board, how would you use your office to make sure individuals get their voting rights back and that the voters were honored with the actual thing they voted for, which was the expansion of voting rights? We'll start with you, Mr.
Yeah, so I think that's something that, as you mentioned a few years ago, we thought was the voters approved, and we thought it wasn't going to be an issue, but as we see today, voter suppression is real, and they're going to do anything in their capacity to limit people's voice and their power to keep communities down. So my role on the clemency board was to ensure that we restore rights. We have seen the Republicans take additional steps with legislation where they require them to pay fines now. Your administrative fees presents another obstacle in people getting their rights. But again, this is where it's important that I use the power of the office to ensure, work alongside the governor, attorney general, and act commissioner to restore people's rights. This is one of the most fundamental rights we have, and they're going to continue pressing, but the reality is we have to keep digging, and this is something that we're not going to give up without a fight, because communities need to have a voice, and as long as they continue to suppress the community's voice, they're never going to get what they need, and these communities are going to need to be uplifted rather than being held down.
I look forward to being that voice on the cabinet. I was a very strong voice and campaigned to make sure we passed that amendment. And as usual, we pass amendments and Tallahassee loves to rethink what the voters meant or not follow the voters' intent. And that is not okay. And we need to have voices on the cabinet and votes on the cabinet that actually are going to be there to remind and to, to work with organizations if need be. I'm not afraid of going to court as well, if need be. We have got to start doing what the voters ask us to do. The voters very clearly, overwhelmingly said, restore their rights, and there was none of this payment and restitution, and it is an excuse, and it is not right. If we truly want to have a system where people recover from their mistakes, we need to make sure that we as a state do that. And taking away their right to vote is the most fundamental right as a citizen. We are one of the few states that actually continues to punish people who have paid their right. We could talk to you also about the extreme incarceration and all the other things that we do that I am 100% against, but that we need to have that voice in the cabinet. I will be that voice, there is no question, to make sure that we follow the voters' intent and that those people get their rights fully restored.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we have one kind of audience question for each of you. Following that, you'll get your minute closed. We'll start with Mr. Ford. Property taxes. If Amendment 3 were to pass, what options or ideas do you have to make sure that the state remains whole? Again, if Amendment 3 passes, which is the property tax amendment, the expectation is that money would go down. So what options do you have to keep the state whole?
So at this point, the CFO role really comes into perspective, and that's, again, auditing the contracts, auditing how the state money gets there. That's where, again, the CFO plays a critical role in making sure that it gets there as efficiently and as effectively as possible, making sure it's not going to, donors only or certain people that have, making backroom deals. The CFO has to make sure that all the money getting there or allocated for there is getting there effectively. There's going to be significant, obviously the cities and local governments will have to step up their revenue collection, and it's going to limit the state's capacity in some perspective. But again, that's where the CFO's role is most critical in ensuring, the money allocated for, again, certain communities, because when you start to unify power in Tallahassee, the richer communities and the people who have more sway and, can make these big donations, that's where the money's going to go. When you have to beg for a bridge in Miami versus begging for a bridge or a road in Okaloosa, those communities will have to find ways to convince Tallahassee to give them money. And that is why the CFO role is so critical in making sure that the money gets there efficiently and effectively as possible.
Thank you. Senator Dale, what would be the consequences for a bad report card? You mentioned a report card on insurance companies, and what would be the consequences of a bad grade on a report card?
Well, first of all, it will be public, and these companies will now know that all of the Floridians will be able to shop around and be able to know which companies are not returning their calls, are taking a long time to give you an answer on your claim or to pay your claim, and even worse, where you actually have to go to court. And unfortunately now, even if you go to court, you file a lawyer and you prove that their denial of your claim was wrong, you still gotta pay for that lawyer, you gotta pay for all those expenses, so that comes out of your roof still costs $100,000, let's say, or $200,000. It makes it impossible for hardworking people to be able to be made whole. So that is the reason why I want to embarrass the companies. I also want people to know when they're paying their CEOs. For example, we have one CEO who just in the last year alone paid himself and his wife $38 million, but they claim they can't lower your insurance. And these were policies that came from citizens, from the population of citizens, which is the insurance of last resort. Well, guess what? That is a government entity, and we should be auditing all that. We should be outing all of that wrongdoing. Oh, and by the way, they gave over $1 million to the Republicans. I could go on all the things that we can do, but we have got to let people know what these insurance companies are doing, how they're transferring their profits to other companies outside the state so they don't have to, when a storm hits, they can say, oh, we're insolvent, we can't afford, sorry, bail us out. We can't have that.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with you, sir, as you get out to close. 1 minute, followed by Mr. Ford.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I apologize that I had a screening I was doing in the back, and so that is the reason why I was back there. We all try to do so many things when we're running statewide, and I do want to thank Mr. Ford. We have spent a lot of time together these last few days. We're both good Democrats, and at the end of the day, our opponent is going to be after the primary, and we all need to be on the same boat. We are going to be successful this year because so many people are fed up. And I'm ready to do this job. I am extremely prepared to do this job after all of the experience in Tallahassee, being a business owner over 30 years, actually writing the front of the check, not just the back of the check. And really being that voice for many of you who I've represented in Tallahassee, and not being afraid to speak up and talk and fight, because that's what we need right now. We need fighters, we need people that are willing to stand up to the powerful, to the well-connected, and that are not responsive to their campaign donors, which is what we currently have. So with your help, we will be successful August 18th, and I appreciate it. I'm Annette Tadeo, running for CFO. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
So I'm here quite frankly because I'm running. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, I have a baby on the way. I know it's crazy because I'm a candidate and I have a baby on the way. But the reality is I live your life. I wake up in the morning, I get my kids food ready, I take them to daycare, I do the commute, and I know how hard it is for people to make ends meet. I know what the insurance is. I know I pay the same electricity bills as you do. I'm living in reality. The reason I chose to run for CFO is because I do believe I have a unique skill set. I believe I'm qualified, again, in the sense that I've spent 15 years of public service dedicated to my country and my community, whether that was with the military, with the prosecutor, or working for the IRS. Again, the IRS, I know it's not everyone's favorite agency, but I was the federal watchdog. I sat opposed to people literally in Mar-a-Lago, Naples, numerous times, people who are not used to be told no. And I wanted to utilize what I learned at the IRS, again, whether it's audit investigation, fraud investigation, financial investigation, and bring that to Tallahassee. Again, I'm asking to be an independent watchdog. It doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat in the governor's office. I'm asking you to trust me. This job is inherently nonpartisan, and the thing is, we have the opportunity to punch through with this job as long as people understand. This is about, again, enforcement, accountability, transparency. These are nonpartisan issues, and we can connect to voters, and we can really make a run at this when we get this message out to MPAs and Republicans as well. So I hope to deliver for you, and thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Before you leave, as you both stand, Annette Tadeo and Earl Ford, candidates on the Democratic side for CFO, which will be on August 18th. Thank you. All right. Now we're bringing up folks who are vying to be their counterparts on the state cabinet. We have a number of gubernatorial candidates in the building, so I'll call you up by name. And
Are they the only two Democrats?
they're the only 2 Democrats running, yes, against Republicans. There'll be Republicans on the Republican ballot, including the incumbent, but they're the only 2 Democrats running. Thank you for that clarification, Pastor Jackson. All right, so next up is folks vying to be governor, or lieutenant governor, of the state of Florida. So we want to welcome to sit up front and grab seats, and we'll make sure you get hydrated as well. Former Congresswoman Gwen Graham, who is the running mate of David Jolly, who is the civic governor of Florida. Representative Donnie Joseph, Democratic candidate for governor of the state of Florida. Thomas Eloy Fernandez, Democratic candidate for governor of the state of Florida. Stefan Norman, Democratic candidate for governor of the state of Florida. And last but certainly not least, Evelyn Castillo Bach, Democratic candidate for governor of the state of Florida. As folks get adjusted, find their seats. This is a musical chair. All the young lights, once they're turned on, will be hot. I know we only have 4, so sharing is caring. And make sure you get, if someone could grab some additional bottles of water for me, while folks are doing that. It's right. It's up front. So we'll get folks situated. All right.
There might be an interest in it later.
All right, all right. Situated again. It's a full table, right? You see that?
Woo! Look at all of these Democrats.
All right, again, much like the CFO candidates, please give a round of applause to the gubernatorial candidates. They started on robbery in Richmond Heights, and they could have been in Okaloosa or Palm Bay or any other city. They're running statewide. So thank y'all for being here this evening. So we're going to go ahead and get underway. Everyone got their hydration? All right, we're good to go. All right, so we're going to start with Mrs. Castillo Bach for the 1-minute introduction. Then we'll get into a couple moderating questions.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Evelyn Castillo. I am running to be your next governor of Florida. I am the executive director of Ballot Justice Network, which is a nonprofit criminal justice reform organization
I'm running for Florida governor. The reason why I decided to do this is because at my first time trying to figure out how best to impact the state positively. And clearly God revealed to me that I can make the changes that I want to see in the state of Florida and in life. So with that, of course, I'm the youngest candidate running for governor. I have my flyers as well that's going to be passed around soon, but what I'm running on is true affordability and true authenticity. I'm not coming here as a fake or trying to pander to someone that I don't know and can't really relate to. I'm here to bring bring real solutions to real issues in Florida, and most importantly, do it with the help of God and with the help of you all. So thank you again for having me. There's a big issue coming here on I-75. So that let me know that I was meant to be here at this particular time, and that no matter what, just like that traffic, nothing can stop me. So I'm here to do the best I can for Florida and make it happen. And I'm here to change the game. Thank you.
Hello, Florida. How's everyone doing? All right, cool. Who am I? Thomas Eloy Fernandez. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a veteran, 20-year retired clinical laboratory scientist, United States Air Force, and I'm running for 2026 to run as governor for the state of Florida. Why? Because Florida deserves better. Fact of the matter is, like everyone stated and as everyone's seen, Florida is in crisis, okay? And I'm not a politician, okay? My experience comes from emergency management, crisis actions team. As a military member, I've done work with an inspector general. I've done operational readiness inspection. I can run a base, a facility, and I can organize, whether it be at Jackson as supervisor for flooding or as a supervisor for the My whole life has been revolving around serving. Okay, I came to the United States when I was 3 years old, Cuban-born immigrant. I struggled, I worked hard, I survived, and I'm here to serve the people of Florida because they do deserve better. How? Why? Because education, cost of living, healthcare, these are all issues that affect each and every single Floridian. So while there are powers out there that want to divide us and separate us, I'm here to unify us, okay? And although I'm not a politician, I am aware of how the process and how things operate, and as such, I'm put forward exactly what the vision forward is, right? So if anyone's interested, by all means, please ask about the Global Blueprint 2027. I'm here for you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to get to the meat of it here. All right, so I'm going to give you a little disclaimer, which will give you some time to cook on the first part of this question. I'm going to ask, what are your top 3 priorities as governor? But I want to put this disclaimer out there that when we say top 3, we want something a little bit more than just generic. I want better healthcare, I want better education, I want more affordability. I want you to lean in on, like, when you really think about prioritization, what are the things that you want to do as governor? Meaning that if it's lower the cost of a particular aspect of healthcare, lower the cost of college. So would like for you to lean in when you're thinking about those top 3 priorities is the first part. Second part of the question is, what does success look like in your first term if you were elected governor again? So what would be your top 3 priorities as governor? As specific or as granular as you like to get, but your top 3 priorities. And it doesn't have to be your only 3, just your top 3, right? And again, what does success look like in your first term if you're elected governor? And we'll start on the other end of the table.
All right. So as previously mentioned, my top 3 priorities as governor are education, healthcare, and affordability, housing. Okay? These are things that doesn't matter what background, what beliefs, where you come from, everyone needs. Everyone needs a roof over their head, everybody needs food in their belly, and you know what? Everyone needs to live, okay? To have a roof over your head doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have 3 jobs, okay, and leave your life at work. No, you're working to survive, and you're working for your family for a better future. Healthcare. Healthcare, why is it that there is a policy such as single-payer healthcare system that is usable and exists and is successful in other places? Why can we not have a single-payer healthcare system? Why is it that we gotta get nickel and dime with every procedure and every process? Why is it that it costs $16, okay, to produce an IV unit, but when you go, even with insurance, they still want to charge you $740. These are all things that make no sense to me. Okay? Education. There are other states that are investing into science, technology, engineering, all of these things that are valuable in dictating the future of Florida. These are all things that need to be instilled in our youth to prepare them for the life that comes after, for what's coming down the pipeline. These are things that you look at other countries, you look at other states, and they've invested into this. What's going on? Florida needs leadership that cares. Florida needs a governor that cares about the people and not so much about the bottom line. Because at the end of the day, our power, our position as a representative of the people comes from the people. And that's why I'm running. And these are my issues. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
So first, I would like to say, I'll start with the success. So what success looks like to me is people that are my age and older, of course, actually living their best life. As of right now, of course, I am supported by my mother, of course, and my family. So, and there are a lot of people who are my age and even younger, who I'm sure you all know as parents as well, who live at home as well, because they cannot afford to move out and start on their own just yet. So my first idea is to go ahead and make sure that if we can get success for my for the seniors as well as the young, that will transfer over to the young people, and that will be not a trickle down effect, and not Reaganomics, but it'll be something that you can really sink your teeth into, and it will allow you for the whole generation to be able to be successful. So going down the line, first I want to say for my first act, I want to say is I want to enforce a rent reduction. Rent in Florida has skyrocketed over the last couple of years, but mainly the last 5. So, and I know for a fact that, for example, in Tampa, a studio apartment in Tampa is $2,200. Straight out. That's just the space. That's like literally walk in, turn around, walk out, $2,200. And so that has been done by DeSantis because of the Senate Bill 102 and House Bill 1417, which is of course with the local act, to where no city, state, or municipality is allowed to enforce any kind of rent reduction or any kind of rent stabilization. So under my administration, I would change that. Make it more affordable for the seniors as well, with the 55 plus living homes as well, to make sure that they're able to afford to live where they live comfortably. Second thing is revitalizing education. I want to make sure that we bring education back to what it really started as, which is the truth. I want to make sure that we put Black history back into our schools to make sure that the children know now and forever that Black history is American history, and that our struggles also help them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. One of the reasons why I decided to join this ticket with David is because David and I have real ideas and real plans to help the people of Florida. So what do we want to accomplish in year 1? One is to establish a catastrophic fund so that we can remove that from your property insurance, driving down the cost of property insurance. Does anyone in this room, not every time you look at your property insurance bill, you can, if you can pay it, it's so out of control. Number 2, we're going to start a 10-year renaissance in public education. Education is my passion, and we are going to utilize the tourism dollars to bring money back into the public education system. Pay our teachers more. Teachers deserve to be paid. Teachers are my heroes. Make sure there's money in this public schools for special services. Yes, thank you so much. Teachers are my heroes. And number 3, to make sure that we are getting politics out of education. Education should not be burdened by politics. And in healthcare, except we are going to take the Medicaid expansion. Over 1.2 million more Floridians would be able to get health care with Medicaid expansion. And we're going to work hard to build a system of county and city healthcare centers so that there is healthcare available in every community all across Florida. Why am I on this ticket? Because David and I have real ideas that will make a difference. And to your last point, how will I know that it's been successful? When the people of Florida are better off after 1 year of the Jolly Graham team than they were when we started. And all of those ideas and all of those plans that I just discussed will make a tangible difference in everybody's life.
Thank you, Senator Willard. 3 points. 1, make Florida affordable for all, not just the 1%. People are working hard and they're feeling the pinch across the board. I want to make sure that we're lowering costs for housing, healthcare, gas, groceries, insurance. And these aren't just talking points for me. I literally have policies on just about all of those things that do that. Check out the Healthy Florida Act. So, we heard about expanding Medicaid. I've literally been the person in the Florida legislature filing the bill to expand Medicaid because there are lots of people who fall in that gap, who make too much to qualify for state coverage, but not enough for federal coverage. Those people deserve coverage too. But that's the floor. We can have universal coverage. We can have comprehensive coverage. That's right. It's okay to want universal coverage. The United States is the only country in the developed world that doesn't have some form of universal healthcare coverage. We can do this. There's money in the budget to do it. I'm an expert in the budget. We can do this. So that's 1. When we're talking about housing, I have the Real Affordable Housing Act. Check it out. There are lots of things in there that speak to the heart of what we're talking about. Things that impact renters, which increase access, that limits the ability of these private equity firms and hedge funds to buy up all our single family housing stock, to stop AI from rent gouging us. I mean, there's so many things that we can do that are all in there. So that's all that affordable. Then I want to talk about protecting our civil rights and what's left of our human rights, which have been under attack in this country and the state. As a civil rights attorney and a government attorney, I know when government works for us and when it works against us. I can make it work for us. And then 3rd, and this is probably the most important, is less hate and more love.
Yes.
What does that look like? That looks like a government that cares for its people, all of its people, who don't see seniors as a burden and see that we should love our neighbor, not hunt them down and deport them. Thank you.
I'm going to begin from the end. What's going to be success? Success is going to be when we're no longer afraid of each other. When we're no longer afraid of turning on our TV sets and seeing that Florida is being used as a spearhead to do something that's very negative in this country. And in order for that to stop, we need a governor who actually has guts, who's unafraid, who's not corporate, okay, and who's not going to play nice and soft with the sharks in Tallahassee, okay? The sharks in Tallahassee need to meet someone who's an ordinary person, who's not a politician, who knows what it means not to struggle, who knows what it means to suffer, who knows what it means to succeed, and who's not afraid to tell the truth and to speak the truth and to go to the people, not stay in Tallahassee on a nice desk and have meetings, but to get out there and go to every single county and meet with the constituents of the Republican representatives who are not doing right by their own people. I spent a week in the Panhandle, and let me tell you, there's a lot of poverty up there, okay? And people have been somehow convinced to vote against their own best interest. I won't let that happen. I won't let that happen. I don't think anybody else who's a gubernatorial candidate is going to have the guts to do that, okay? Because corporate people don't do that. Ordinary people do that. I'm an ordinary person. You know what this is? This is a copy of my passport.
Why do I have to carry a copy of my passport in the country where I was born? That is totally unacceptable. One of my priorities, protect our immigrants, okay? We protect our immigrants. We don't let Florida become the example of how to incarcerate people and mistreat them. Thank you.
Thank you. And so we get some rotation and movement around when we start this next question with Mr. Norman rotating to his right and then end with Mr. Fernandez. So I go with that. All right, and since somebody asked this question in my brain, I'm going to try to incorporate the question I wrote and the question from the audience because it's relatively the same thing. All right, so Richmond Heights is home to some of the highest performing public schools in the county and state. For those specifically, shout out to Frank C. Martin, Corey, and Ballot. Many feel as though the Census Administration has done more harm than good with their education policy. How would you prioritize public schools? And more specifically, going to the question from the audience, how would you level the playing field between what feels unequal between public schools and charter schools? So again, how would you prioritize public schools, and also how would you level the playing field that feels unequal between charter schools and public schools?
Okay, let's do the first part first. So first I'll say I want to make sure that public schools in Florida are at this point overfunded, because you know, of course, they're underfunded. So I feel like one thing that I want to make sure as well is to increase teacher pay as well, to make sure that the teachers are paid well above what they're being paid now, because as you all know, Florida ranks 50th when it comes to teacher pay. So increase their and ensure that they understand that, you know, they are a priority in Florida, and we teach the next generation, as I need my teachers. I'm sure we all need our teachers when we were in school as well, to make sure that we put them first and make sure that they are able to afford not only their school supplies, but also their life in Florida as well. And the second portion was
how would you level the playing field between charter schools, which have a different set of rules, and public schools?
So for me, I believe that charter schools, especially now, the issue is the regulation of them. Because when it comes down to what my understanding is, they have not only do they have another set of rules, but they have another set of funding as well. So they are privately funded and through organizations and through corporations and politicians as well. And the issue is that they're not actually being helping out the actual students that they're actually being put on for. As far as I know, example, there was a school, I believe it was owned by Byron Donald's wife, who actually never opened. It's just there. It's just there, there's no students there, and parents are signing up for their kids to go there, but no one, when the school is closed. So for one, what I would do is actually make sure that the charter schools follow the rules of the public schools, to where they're going to be able to receive public dollars, they should be able to follow public rules, and also make sure as well that their curriculum should be on the same level as the public schools as well. Because I feel like another issue of the inequity is the quality of the education. And that's something that I will change as governor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Brown.
First, we're going to have a Commission of Education that is pro-traditional public schools. We have not had that in a very long time. Very long time. One of the biggest strengths of the governor's office is the power of appointment. And David and I are going to make those appointments, appointing people that actually have the skill sets to serve in the position that we're appointing them to. How about that? Actual care about the credibility of the individuals that we're appointing. The number one commitment for public education is the Commission of Education. How do we balance out between charter schools and public schools? Since Jeb Bush was governor, there has been a concerted effort to privatize our public school system. People are making a lot of money on the backs of students, and that is appalling to me. Because every single child in this state deserves to have a quality education, regardless of the school they go to. We're going to make sure that the playing field is level. There are good charter schools. There are good public schools. There are private schools, there's a lot of homeschool parents, but every single school, every single educational opportunity has to have a way to determine if in fact that child is being educated well or not. And we're going to require that at every single school that takes public dollars when David and I are in the governor's office. Because education is the backbone of our democracy. Every single child in the state of Florida who's in school today deserves to have a quality education. That is going to be our commitment, and it starts with selecting a commissioner of education that cares about public schools and puts public schools first. Right now, what they're doing in the Department of Education is figuring out how can they further expand the choice options. What they need to be talking about and focused on is how do we make sure every child has a quality education. That is going to be our commitment to you all.
Thank you. As you know, I'm a proud product of Miami-Dade Public Schools. And I'm also a student of history, and I understand what's going on post-Brown versus Board of Education, which for those who may not know, is the effort to challenge a system of separate but unequal education. Because some people don't want our children to be educated the same. Because we know that education is an uplifter, economic and otherwise, of our people. And there are people who have been planning and plotting from that moment on to make sure that we do not have an equal education system. So what that looks like for me is whether you're talking about a traditional public school, charter school, private school, that they all meet the same standards. The Congresswoman is right. There is a lot of people making money off of the backs of our students. What that looks like is speculators going and using this to buy properties because they will now have the property and they don't care about the actual education of the student. And we're in a church, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it, but we have some people in our communities who see this as a way to generate income as opposed to educating our children. So one way to equalize that playing field is to make sure that certification standards apply across the board. And all standards apply to all schools, not 1,000 pages for one and 2 pages for the other. That makes absolutely no sense. So we need to make sure that all of our children, regardless of zip code, race, age, disability, have access to the same education, the same quality education that teaches our full history, not the whitewashed version that some people happen to be comfortable with. It needs to be an education that's going to prepare them to compete in this increasingly global economy, as opposed to playing political games with these little children's lives. They are literally our future. And if we squander them, we're shooting our own selves in the foot. We need to take care of our children, both in terms of healthcare and in terms of just feeding them. I filed legislation to make sure that they get fed. We need to take care of our children because our children are the ones who's going to take care of us. And it's up to us to do it.
I agree with everyone here. I mean, what is there to disagree with? Absolutely nothing. It's all good ideas. The question isn't whether we lack good ideas or solutions. The question is, how are we going to get there? What kind of leadership is going to get us there? What is that leader going to do? In my opinion, we have a problem in this state. A lot of people have been brainwashed into thinking a certain way about education, including that they should learn about our history, especially history of people like me and you and you and many of you here, okay? So we have a lot of problems. So how are we going to solve that? If we do all this stuff, and how? How do we convince everyone that this is what we need to do? Because we have to convince people somehow. You're not going to convince the legislature, in the Republicans up in Tallahassee, because they're set in their ways. They have a special interest. They're bought. Okay, so how are we going to do that? You need a governor who's going to get out there on the street, go to all the people, including the people in Tallahassee, okay, and talk to the people. Not behind the podium, not from Tallahassee, but actually on the ground level. That's how you're going to do it. That's the only way to do it. Because at the end of the day, people want what's best for their kids. They really do. They may be confused and may have been brainwashed and taught to think and believe something that isn't true. But at the end of the day, they care about their kids too. And if we can communicate that, if the governor can communicate that by meeting with the people directly, not by standing at a podium, but going to where they are, in their little towns and villages, and here too, okay? Know our communities. Then I think we can achieve everything that we're talking about here. It's not going to be easy, but it is important. But it requires leadership, strong leadership. And frankly, I'm the only one who's going to bring you that.
Mr. Fernandez.
All right, so again, not a politician. Okay? Politicians that are in place have allowed this to happen for whatever reason, whatever powers may be. But at the end of the day, at least the standardization of education, both in the public and in the charter school district or industry, I guess, department, has to happen. The first thing we do need to do, though, is identify what it is that we need to standardize. Because we can standardize things of the past that are going to have absolutely no influence in the future. But the fact of the matter is, from my experience, not only in the United States Air Force, but even outside, with two kids, I have a 30-year-old and a 21-year-old. We need to teach things like home ec. Everyone remembers home ec back in the day? You would not know how many troops I've had, and I've had to go to their dorm to teach them how to do laundry. Okay? We can boil water for a cup of noodles, but we can't make a ramen. The cups, you pour the water in, the ramen is the exact same concept. These are basic things that we need to teach our kids. We need to prepare them for the future. We're sending them out there, and they're trying to figure life out. They know they need to eat. But if they don't know how to cook, Burger King is the only alternative. And then we're wondering, why aren't they gaining weight? Why aren't they healthy? So education influences a lot of different factors in life. And identifying these standards and what it is that our kids, that our children of tomorrow are going to need is the very first step that we need to do, okay? My wife and I, our experience, we went all the way from Eggman down to the Florida Keys, identifying what issues the Florida families have. Okay? When it comes to education, we came up with a plan. Like I said, the Florida Blueprint 2027. Please look at it, have questions, challenge it, give us feedback. Because that's why we did it. That's why we drafted it up. This is the information that we've gotten. So we have a lot of ideas and everything, but how are we going to move forward? That's how we're going to move forward. And if you have a question about it, by all means, please challenge and ask us.
Thank you so much. All right, do a quick time check. We are at the hour, we understand. We have one more panel to go. We have one more question for this panel, question closing. You know, I'm not a mathematician, but we're going to be going past 8 o'clock, is what I'm saying. But we don't want to go too far past 8 o'clock. So timekeeper, aka Gotti B.
Yep.
We're going to be doing 1 minute answers on this last question. I hate to do 1 minute answers on the last question, but I want to do 1 minute answers on this last question because I think you all should have some very concise answers for it. And then we'll go into the closings. Just as a matter of making sure everybody is heard or seen, one of the things as you're thinking about your education policy that you just talked about, and you're going to be on the campaign trail for the next couple of weeks, is how to make public schools a desired option and not a last option, right? So, I don't want to revisit the public school question because this last question is different than that, and I think that's the direction we want to go, but just something for you all to think about, food for thought, on how to make public schools more desirable. All right, so the last question from the audience is, how will the Black community benefit from your leadership if you are elected, specifically around the areas of jobs, education, affordability, and youth? How will it benefit from your administration if you are elected? We'll start with Congresswoman Graham and then rotate with Mr. Norman being the last answer. So again, how will the Black community benefit from the leadership of your administration if you're elected, specifically around the areas of jobs, education, housing affordability, and youth? Councilwoman Brown.
Thank you for the question. We are going to have an administration that brings in diverse leadership all across the state of Florida. And all of the areas that the senator mentioned, we will have voices lifting up the Black community in every single agency, every single opportunity we are planning to have within the governor's office and Office of Civil Rights, so that we can make sure that we're focused on the issues affecting the Black community. Yes, and so our commitment, and I'm trying to think how to really, within a minute, wrap this up. Our commitment is to exactly what you just said, Senator. Our commitment is to make sure that we are fighting and working hard every day for the Black community in Florida, for other communities in Florida, to have a governor and lieutenant governor that actually cares again. The representative mentioned love, not hate, kindness. Bring kindness back to Tallahassee. Bring people back to Tallahassee that actually care about the people of Florida first. That is what we're committed to doing. That is what I have known my entire life. That is why I am in this race.
Appreciate you. Representative Joseph.
Thank you. So let's talk policy. I'm ready to bold. Y'all ready for some bold stuff? Okay, let's go. All right, so youth. I want to make tuition in the state of Florida free for in-state tuition. If you get in and you qualify, I want you to be able to get your education free. That's bold. I know people are afraid of that, but we can do it. There's a budget for it. That's one. I want to make sure that we have a child credit for people who are going to work and they need to leave their kids somewhere. That would be a game changer for a lot of low-income families, to make sure you have somebody to take care of your kids. In terms of housing affordability, I talked about the Real Affordable Housing Act, but even beyond that, I want to make sure that we have access to grants for first-time home buyers, particularly our young people who are not seeing a way that they can buy a home. But you need to pair that with ability for them to earn income. And there are programs that we can do that. And to earn income is not just the job. I also want people to be self-sustaining. I want to make sure that we provide small business education, credit, support, so people can be self-sustaining, not just waiting on somebody to write them a paycheck. And then lastly, well, I see my little red card, so I'm gonna sit down, but I got lots of bold ideas. Come holler at your girl.
She's got thoughts. She's got thoughts. Ms. Castillo-Ball.
I love your ideas. I concur. I can give A+ for that. And I'll tell you why. Because of programs like food stamps and welfare, I am where I am today. I was a single mom once. I was so poor I couldn't afford to buy my son an ice cream cone. That's being poor. I was so poor that I drove around in a car in Cleveland in the middle of the winter that was rusted out and I had to put plywood on the floor so my feet wouldn't go through it. Why is that relevant? Because I know what it means when government supports us, the people who need support. Education, stipends, and in today's world, also support for our young entrepreneurs. It takes the government engagement. It takes passion, and it takes somebody that understands that really does work. It's not an intellectual exercise for me, okay? It's not a policy for me. I lived it. I know what it takes to help people get up and rise up. Thank you.
Thank you. Tremendous.
So, I'm running for governor of Florida. That means I'm gonna represent all of Florida, all Floridians, all families. I understand that there are different subgroups within Florida, right, that need a little more love, a little less, different views, different perspectives, different cultures, different backgrounds. That's fully understandable. The fact of the matter is that the resources are there and they are available, okay? They just need to be readily available to the people, and the people need to know that those resources are there. Otherwise, they cannot navigate the way forward, okay? So, I can stand here and tell you a lot of pretty words about what I'm gonna do and all this and that. I'm telling you what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna move forward, and and I'm asking for feedback, because at the end of the day, once I get into that position, I am representing you, and I am your voice. My strength, my power comes from you. And if I'm not representing you, and if I don't care about you, then what am I doing? How is it that we got here? Vote for you, vote 82. Thomas C. Hernandez for governor.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
So first, I would like to say regarding the earlier question, I want to make sure that people understand here that youth is not a synonym for inexperience. That's number one. Number two, I also want to make sure that the youth centers are correctly funded within the public of Florida. I know a lot of you are seeing a lot of things going on with the teen takeovers, how they've been a little bit, crazy and destructive. But I also think it's also important to understand too that most of those children that come from those backgrounds that they're trying to basically the police and other state agencies try to help, they come from a background of misunderstanding, and I think that starts from education as well. So again, I want to go ahead and make sure that education is put forth to make sure that the children know that their life is valuable, that their individuality should be seen and honored. Regarding and also bring back compassion. I think that's the most important thing we've also talked about today. But to make sure that we bring back compassion, because under the current administration, both the president and the governor, we lost that. It's been lost for years, and we have issues going on with from the temporary protective status from the Haitians to Cubans to all sorts of people who who we love, who we know, who are our neighbors, who are now losing their status in Florida, in the nation, but particularly in Florida, just for the sake of trying to appease the government at this point. So, and one other thing I want to talk about as well, while I have the mic as well, is Ms. Graham was talking about how her and David want to open up an office of civil rights in the governor's office. Well, I am civil rights, and I want to make sure to let you guys know that when it comes to the black people, I represent the black people and all of my voters as well, and Florida too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we started going this way for the opening, so we'll go into the opposite. Starting with Mr. Fernandez and working right. 1 minute, close.
So, honestly, when I retired from the United States Air Force in 2020, I did not plan on doing any of this. I saw the need. I started off with a for-profit business, right, that never made a single dollar, because how can I help people that are in need and charge? That concept even goes to our DCF Access. With DCF Access partners for the whole state of Florida, but we offer the service so that you don't have to take a day off from work to go to the DCF office, right, to apply for services. That just doesn't make sense to us, okay? So what I am offering the state of Florida is common sense path forward to navigate what it is that is out there. What is the vision of every Florida household, of every youth and every senior moving forward? Let us know, give us the feedback, let us draft up a plan, let us get those coordinates and come up with a plan and a guide forward. And let's execute. That's it. It just needs to be something feasible, and at the end of the day, we need to make sure that it's something sustainable, because Florida needs to survive for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Moore.
So, my name is Stefan Norman again, West Coast Florida Governor. So, Ms. Evans spoke so eloquently about her struggles, and I want to make sure I want to speak about mine as well. I remember when I was growing up too, me and my mother, we were both, my mother and my sister, raised single parent, and a lot has really happened in our lives. We were also on food stamps as well, the SNAP benefits as well. And and I also come from, basically the gas not having enough, the car not having enough gas in it. And, we also depended on the angels to push the car. So that's what we had to do for where we were. And what I want to make sure that I want to say as well is that all my plans are bold, and everything that I have to say is very, very bold with the current administration. But I also want to make it known as well that Florida needs a change, and I wanted to change the game. Thank you.
Thank you.
First, I want to thank you Thanks to everyone here for coming tonight and learning about the candidates for governor. It shows how much you truly care about the future of Florida. So thank you so much. Leadership matters. And leadership is a representation of values. David and I have 3 fundamental values that we bring to this campaign. The economy should work for all. The government can do its part. And I've laid out 3 distinct plans in healthcare and education and housing. Everyone's rights should be protected and dignity celebrated. We recognize that we're at a critical point in our state's future. David and I can win this race in November. I respect everyone on this panel. I hope whoever is the ultimate nominee on August 19th, that we all come together. Because this election is too important not to. We have to come together for the state of Florida, for the people of Florida. It's time to put the people of Florida back as the #1 consideration in the governor's office. With David and me, that is what you will have.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for caring. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do and things that I don't even know. Thank you for opening up the house. Thank you for hosting. Let's give him a round of applause. Listen, y'all, this is not complicated. There's a lot at stake, both in the state and at the national level. And we cannot afford to miss this. You need somebody you can count on, who has been in this fight. I have been in this fight. I am not new to any of this. I'm true to it. We have been suffering under nearly 3 decades of Republican rule, and everything is more expensive and a lot more hate. It's time to turn the page on that. We can dream a different dream. We can turn off this nightmare. Dream with me. What kind of Florida do you want? We just have to go out there and claim it. I see it in other states. We can have nice things too. Don't you want nice things? Come do some nice things with me. I am Donnie Joseph, and I'm ready to be your next governor. Check me out, DOTIE Joseph. Drop a little, contribution if you can, and just support, get the word out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Castillo Ballot.
I don't want your money, I want your vote. It's not because I don't need the money, but I want your vote. That's what I want. I want, when you look at me, if you see a woman who's gonna go up to Tallahassee and she's gonna kick you know what, real hard, and I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna fight hard, and you're gonna see me all the time doing it, okay? Not talking about it. I'm not a part of the problem. I've never been a politician, okay? I'm an ordinary person, just like all of you here. I came from nothing, but I'm a graduate from Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism with a master's degree. Why? Because government worked. Government worked. And we can make Florida work for all of us. That's me. Vote. Vote. I'm the first name on the ballot. Love you all.
Round of applause for all 6 of these candidates. Just a reminder, these are all Democratic candidates. We did invite everyone on the Republican side. Initially got 2 RSVPs that dwindled to none. For whatever reason, I just want to let folks know we are trying to be fair and balanced, unlike most. All right. Thank you so much. All right.
Let's show them.
County Commission candidates, you're on deck. You're on deck. We're going to transition quick. Going through, please stick with us. We do have 2 county commission candidates for District 8 that are in the building. So,
Everybody ready? Just look forward and smile.
all right.
I just jumped right in front of my picture.
Thank you. Please cross it out. I'm trying not to be on no campaign progress this election. This cycle, leave me out.
Excuse me, let me grab one more photo, the photo that we did.
I'm willing.
Please and thank you, because I think that
All right,
somebody just.
we want to bring up Martha Baby Hero and John Du Bois to join us up front here at the table. Just quick.
Where would you like to get them together? All right, here.
You do it. She got the attitude.
All right, folks, we're transitioning quickly so we can get you out of here quickly as well. Please grab a seat, grab a seat, grab a seat, so we can get underway for these folks. So again, please grab a seat, grab a seat.
Right here.
Oh, there she is.
Take this last picture. We are over time at the moment.
One last one. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, again, don't run off. Your county commission candidates are here. That does control whole lot of things.
It is what it is. I'm counting on.
All right, folks, let's jump right into it so we can get you out of here quickly. Going back to the original rules, 1 minute open, 2 quick questions. 2 minutes apart, followed by closing. I think it's done. All right, here we go. So again, County Commission District 8. County Commission District 8, right here in Miami-Dade County, our neighbors to the east, generally. We'll start with John, followed by Martha in terms of opening. John.
Thank you. My name is John Du Bois. I've been Vice Mayor of Palmetto Bay for 8 years. I am a technologist by trade. I'm not a politician. I entered politics to address some issues in what I call systemic corruption, when you have issues that are not in the interests of the residents that start to control over our politicians and do wrong things. That's why I originally got involved. One of the biggest issues now, why I'm in this race, because our current commissioner, Danielle Cohen-Higgins, what really got me motivated was her opposition to opening a mental health care facility, a new center that was finished almost 3 years ago and has been blocked by the commissioner in her committee for no good reasons. So I've been doing very well in the technology sector. For 25 years, I've been on the board of directors of Camilla's House. For 20 years on the board of Camilla's Health Concern. So I feel giving back to the community. This country has been great to me. I've lived the American dream in terms of success in business. Time for me to give back. And when I see what goes on with controlling special interests and developers, controlling our elected officials, that's when I step in. That's when I stepped in Palmetto Bay, and I am stepping in now because of this issue. And hopefully myself and my colleague here, Martha, will be able to overcome our current problem with the District 8.
You're in time.
Thank you.
Got the red card like in soccer.
Oh, sorry.
In case you're watching, missed it. So yellow is 30 seconds, red is bringing in for 5 seconds.
Hi everyone, my name is Martha Reyes. I'm running for Miami-Dade County Commissioner, District 8. I've been leading all the communities and districts for more than 30 years, serving with a real job, working with my community, with my people, with my families, children, and youth. My profession is educate people. I've been working as a teacher all my life. I'm a supervisor for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and I'm working for one of the biggest organizations, YWCA. 27 years working in every district with all my families, doing a real job. Why I'm running for? Because I'm not a politician. I'm the real service, the public service, but not official public service. First of all, all of us, we had a commitment to serve God first and then people. All of us, regardless party, regardless race, regardless color, regardless whatever, we had to be here to serve our people. At this time, I decided to run because at District A, being management with different officials, and we don't have the service that we deserve because we pay high taxes, very high taxes, and we don't have affordability. Right now, it's no job opportunity. Traffic is terrible. And the more concerning we have too is our safety. I'm the mother, and the wife, and the grandmother. And first God, I hope that together we can make it happen. I appreciate more people think about our constituents.
You're in time. And watch the record.
Okay.
Watch for the record. So Mayor Levine Calda's done a kind of budget tour prior to the budget, and she's talked about the potential loss of revenue, both just in terms of people leaving Miami, but also the potential impacts of Amendment 3. How would you prioritize county services if there is a significant loss of revenue to the county budget? So again, how would you still prioritize county services if there is a negative impact to the budget of Miami-Dade County? Starting with
Okay. Every services is not about how much money you have in the budget. To me, the service is to give you priority to our people. Emergency services, like right now, affordability is crazy. It's not about the local services or the commissioner that have the services. It's about if we have expensive rent, and the people they cannot pay the rent, or the elderly people that they have retirement, they cannot pay their houses. We need to hold their hands to work together with the state of Florida, which is Miami-Dade County, one of the biggest counties that we pay high taxes. It's different ways to work together and give you the better service to our constituents. You know why? People been concerned about the millions and millions and millions budgets for each district. But we have here today a forum with the state, government, federal representatives. To serve our people is not just about the commissioner. We need to work directly with the state governments. We need to work directly with the federal governments. And no matter we have negative, we have to see, we have to talk with our families, residents, leaders, organizations, and sit together in one table and find out solutions. We need to find out solutions, no problems. And the problem is not the money. The problem is the people sitting there to serve them and not the people.
Thank you, Mr. DuBois.
Powerful law. Look at 30,000 line items, but I will find that as an example. In the last 6 years, the commissioner has been on, wasn't elected, was appointed when I was running against. They have since instituted what I call a slush fund. Each commissioner is given $1.5 million a year for totally discretionary spending on whatever they want. Typically special events, it should be for charitable causes, infrastructure, schools, children programs, but it's not. It's for whatever they want. That's 4 years. A 4-year term is $6 million times 13 commissioners. That's one thing that has to go. They use it for campaign purposes to get their name out, it should be classified as campaign contributions. Instead, it's discretionary spending, and they say, oh, we're sponsoring this. No, you're not sponsoring it. The taxpayers are sponsoring it. It's time to cut the fat out of the budget. That's where I would start. And how is it that in the last 6 years, the value of real estate has gone up more in Dade County than any other part of the country, and so have the revenues from it? And how is it even possible that the expenses that the county has been spending has increased by more than the increase in revenue? Nobody in Dade County can figure that out. I'm going to figure it out. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to fix it. Because this is disgusting what the county commissioners spend, how they spend our money.
Thank you. All right. So both of you are running against the current county commissioner. How would you approach the job different than what we have right now, starting with Mr. Dubois?
Yeah, that's a really easy question, because ever since, 25, 30 years, since Katie Sorensen was the District 8 Commissioner, we've never had a strong bond and relationship between the District 8 and District 9 Commissioners working together. And what's happened is money that should have been spent on South Dade, you people, infrastructure, all the way down to Redlands and Homestead, has instead been diverted to downtown and the north. And this current commissioner, all she does is fight with my good friend Keone McGee, who is the District 9 Commissioner, does everything she can to avoid supporting my city that I live in, which is Palmetto Bay, as well as the District 9. That will change. We will work together. If you see her TV ads and all the material she sends out, it's all about, oh, I'm a fighter. I'm a mom. Moms fight harder. Mothers fight harder for their children than anybody else. We don't need fighters anymore. Somebody else running for governor said it. We need to get along together. We need to work together as a coalition. She is the antithesis of that person on the dais. She fights constantly because she tries to ram legislation through ordinances and applications for the developers that have funded $1 million special interest in developers into her PACs and her direct campaign. I have pledged not to take a penny of developer money in my campaign. I'm fortunate enough to be able to self-fund, but at least I don't have to take money from developers and special interests.
Thank you, Q.
Well, we have our own answer. Right now, we have different issues. District 8 is not just Palmetto, it's not just Color Bay, HS, Redlands, or overdevelopment. I agree with Mr. Poe. We need to service are going to serve totally different. First of all, because we have a constitution in the United States and we have a law. What is happening right now? We have the urban development boundary. It's a big issue. People make business with the lives. They don't respect the farmland. If my residents vote for me on August 18, I'm gonna fight for them. You know why? Because we have to put families first. They deserve somebody have a leadership. They don't scare nobody. The only one we need to start is God. But here in the land, nobody else. We need to fight for them. Our agriculture, our venues, the agritourism. You can see all those venues is getting down and down and down. And during all 12 years that I'm living in District 8, we have District 8 right here. We can be equal like the other districts. If we serve our people in the same equal opportunity for everyone, because that is stated clearly here in Miami-Dade County, and every government office that you enter in, it's just on the walk, equal opportunity for everyone. But how many of you can say that if we have that opportunity? Naranja doesn't have the same opportunity right now. Pinkston doesn't have the same opportunity right now. We have Leisure City, it's abandoned. We don't have any equal opportunity. Homestead, it's the same thing. Right now, we need to find with leaderships and bottom levels and team with people that's gonna defend your rights.
Thank you. I appreciate the passion. I hate to be the bad guy. Yes. Last question for you both before you close. All right. So District 8 and District 9 residents have some of the highest commuter times of any resident in Miami-Dade County. What would be a solution to help alleviate either long traffic waits or public transit, or both? What would be, one of the ideas that you would bring as County Commissioner for District 8 to alleviate, again, traffic or public transit? And we'll start with Ms. Baker here.
We have a terrible traffic, it's true, but remember, to work that traffic, and we have projects and the commissioner is 13 commissioners sitting there, and they decide who is gonna be, what project is gonna be in each city. After we approve, we have to really concern about our families. Because if we overdevelopment with that responsibility, we are gonna get a mess. And right now, if you see South Florida, it's taking, I'm driving like 3 hours every single day, going back and forth to Miami. Sometimes more than 3 hours because we have an accident. How are we going to resolve this? First of all, we need to work together with the DOT department. We need to work together with the State Department. We need to put all the commissioners together because when they vote, the 13 commissioners, they don't vote just for District 8. Together we resolve all these issues. But we need to stop that irresponsibility way just to approve overdevelopment projects. And we don't think about our lives. We need a faster service for our community. And the easy way is working with transparency, integrity, and think about our people first.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you. So in 2016, I started working with who at the time was Minority Leader of the House, Commissioner Keone McGee. We were like Batman and Robin. We went to all of the South Dade County elected officials from our congressional delegation in Washington with Mario and Ileana to our local, every single local elected official. And we worked together to bring a infrastructure solution, rail, from Dadeland to Florida City. We worked successfully for 2 years. We got to the point where we got a $2 billion commitment altogether with federal, state, local money. And unfortunately, Carlos Jimenez, one weekend, just changed his mind, moved $600 million to downtown, took it away from the project. He was drinking Kool-Aid from Senator Brandes out of Tampa, who believed autonomous vehicles were the holy grail and solution to all traffic problems. So we will work together to create 50 to 100,000 jobs in South Dade. Commissioner McGee already tried to put through a logistics facility to create 10,000 jobs. That was actually killed by our District 8 County Commissioner, again, because they don't work together. So there's only one solution, because right now the only infrastructure solution would be heavy rail that would cost $20 billion, and without control of Congress by two of our congressional delegations like we had back then, it's not possible to get that kind of money. So the only real solution that's viable is create a reverse commute by creating tens of thousands of jobs in the south part of District 8 and District 9 to ensure that the traffic, the amount of traffic won't be reduced, but the flow will be in the opposite direction of rush hour. And it will be enough to significantly reduce congestion during rush hour. That's the only short-term solution, and I will be fighting hard for it. The Air Force Base at Homestead is no longer strategic to the U.S. military. It's time for them to turn it over. We need to turn that into an airport in South Dade. That will enable 50 to 100,000 new jobs, called Doral South, and that is the solution to the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 1 minute close with each of you. We'll start with Mr. DeBoer.
So thank you for coming and listening to us tonight. I think the fact that your county commissioner is not here tonight is a pretty good indication of her interest in helping the community. And you know, God bless you, and hope we get your support. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your invitation. I really appreciate your time. And I would like to everyone be the voice from our people. We need commissioners that really serving that people. They really give you the opportunity for youth, for children, for families. We have 4 ways that I'm finding, and I know for sure we can do it with real results: traffic, affordability, safety, and job opportunity. Together we can make it happen. The dream starts when you put it in paper and writing. Remember, Martin Luther King started with a dream and has a Hispanic immigrant 34 years in this country. My dream is to serve with equal opportunity to everyone in District 8. God bless you, everyone. Thank you.
Not here to hold you any longer, but just want you all to give yourselves a round of applause for sticking it out with us, being here, listening. I hope this was worthwhile. Please spread the word about the things you've heard here, and thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Vote for me. Tell people to vote for me. Vote for me. I showed up. Johnny didn't show up.
Marshall, good job. Good job.
Hello. Yep, we're all done.
I think I agree. I see the point.